Greetings, everybody. This is Pastor Homestar 10 here. Time for another episode of Chapel Service. Tonight we gone back to our trial routes, and we're gonna be helping out Torgo because Torgo is in prison for accidentally stabbing someone and putting them in a coma. So we gotta help Torgo out, and I might be jumping in as Sasato at some point, just in case something happens to Sylph, because some of us are just losing their voices a little bit. So when one goes down, the other one helps pick up, as they say here at the Chapel of Naked Spaghetti. So,
Amen.
So Pastor Homestar here, along with Archbishop Sylph, Bishop Sorkis. And we also got Pastor Mooney here with all of us too.
Hello.
So, and more Van Zeeks, because I know one of our congregate members loves when Van Zeeks comes in. So who knows what's going to happen. But anyway, let's get started.
We got some Cheetos ready in case she decides to pop up.
Shall I shake the bag?
No. You do it when she jumps in the chat. That's what you do.
Just hold her mouth.
Well, I never expected this. Who would have thought we'd be back here again so soon?
I just noticed only one of them has a mustache. Oh. We are on a study tour of Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible.
Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass.
Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right.
Good morning!
Everybody strong bat.
Ah, Mr. Natsume. Good morning.
Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot.
The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. But I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so literally?
Oh, I like the little handkerchief in the pocket.
Oh, there is a term for that. Oh god, I used to wear suits, so I should know this. Damn it. I'll get back to you on that.
Alright. Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. I like your bow tie.
Thank you. I was going through a lot of them, because I happened to carry them with me to the prison cell. I'm a bow tie collector. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. you know why that might be, Miss Sasato?
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea.
So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it?
Don't fear the Reaper.
Lord Van Zeeks? Is that right, Miss Sasato?
I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord of Van Zeeks is on the front page of every one.
Damn right I am. I knew it!
Sometime after, the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey. He stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday.
Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zeek's return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus.
It is?
The trial of Magnus Mcgilden. Ugh, what a harrowing experience that was. Hey, I'm still right here, you know.
As a force ghost, I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's.
But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country.
Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking, and they are all speculating various answers.
Mundane! Mundane! It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us.
Oh, dear. I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that is how the papers are describing it.
Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago.
Yes, I agree.
Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, it's you! Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Both times it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper!
What?
Please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers. Hey, Rio, let's be honest. I wouldn't rub shoulders with you either. I'm married.
Just imagine him just sitting in a corner, like, you know, with the wine, just sipping it like, yeah, I wouldn't be friends with you either, bitch. But more eloquently.
Yeah, it's. I'll explain later.
I'm afraid that there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Miss Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck.
I didn't break a mirror, though. Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why I must be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive!
I wouldn't
Hey.
be talking for you.
I mean, it's not the Payne family, that's for certain.
Well, I mean, at least my descendants won't be simps. I'm just predicting that as hopefully not.
Winston sipping for a certain pink-haired girl.
Right? Well, let's not spoil anything. We haven't gotten there yet.
Bro.
Because Mooney and Circus haven't seen the original trilogy yet. Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Oh, shit, you're right. Yeah, I got owned. I guess that's what the kids say nowadays. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills or luck. But I promise you this. I will fight your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side.
Even if I kidnap 9 cats and bring them home with me.
Only if I get to adopt a couple kittens.
Okay, when they start breeding, you can have some of the litter.
Yay, I'll name one Mochi and the other one Dina. And then the third one will be Pumpkin.
I'm assuming Circus and Mooney don't want any, unless they do.
I do.
Okay.
Chester needs a sibling.
Oh, I'm okay
Yeah,
right
Elliot needs to be
now.
a big brother.
I'm okay. Cash is up at that. I think he just turned 10, so
Ooh, he's an old guy.
yeah, he is. But I don't know. I don't know his official birthday, but I'm gonna guess it's like around either the Halloween time or something.
And again, I don't think it's best to get another cat because Chester didn't have a good experience at my mother-in-law's house with her cats.
Oh.
Yeah, they
Especially
hit
Dom.
her.
Oh, benevolent, non-locum assistant Miss Mikatoba Esquires.
Is that even a thing?
No, I just made it up. I read it in a dictionary somewhere, and I just combine letters and make my own words. I am in your debt forever. I shall never forget this great kindness. Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. That's me with the mustache. Oh, I guess not. I'm the one with the plain face. That's the one speaking. Oh, then who's the one with the mustache? Well, that would be me. Right. Homestar, why do you get the cool stash and I get over here with the plain face?
With the baby face.
Why my baby face? You're the one with the white baby face. Well, because Marzipan said I look cool with the stash, so I'm going along with it.
Fuck my life.
Well, I assume that means we're going in, right, guys? Yeah, just go the crap in. All right, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Yeah, yes!
Well,
Did he just come in his pants?
It's more like he farted.
Or shit himself, at least.
Sharded.
oh god, you guys, that's a bit much. Oh yeah. Well, I hope you can find some good emails to check out Strong Bad.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be checking plenty of emails while the court case is going on. This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. I'm sorry, were you saying something, Ryu? No, Kazuma! Sorry, I've been playing with Jesus, playing against him in chess, and let's say we've had about 50 games so far, and it's been tough going against him. I'm just waiting until I actually beat him in a game. Then I'll watch your court case. Because this time I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I could do this now. I'm ready for this fight. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Yes, Santa Claus.
The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. The Nipponese are truly a fascinating breed.
Racist.
Sorry, what? She said I'm a racist. Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur. Do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance.
But he beat you, didn't he?
Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description.
Sasato-san.
After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent.
Well, point well taken.
Wine time.
Wine time, yes.
Tea time.
Very true. And a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was, too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquitted and his unfortunate, violent end. So I still win. Ha ha ha. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public? Oh, hey, look who it is.
Arr, you never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone.
Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear.
Oh, well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow.
Oh yay, I'm back! I'm afraid to say, I think it's quite possible that the Mastercard foreigner did the deed.
Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. Sorry, didn't quite catch that. Very well, let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Van Zeeks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, this student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the motherfucking street.
Object!
A knife crime! I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bully oath they are.
You got into a knife fight.
Just look at that solo complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese. Oh shit, I'm a racist.
Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Hey, sorry, didn't quite catch that. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hollow chalice here in this great chamber. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. I'm back. Ha ha ha.
Your name and occupation, please.
Yeah, sure. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard.
Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector?
The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. Not to be confused with Olive Garden. Thank you very much.
We always family.
I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be?
Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since.
What? So they don't even know who she is for sure?
Comatose. I see. But her life is not in danger? Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector.
Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map that I drew using Crayola crayons. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago, at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far.
Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. What of the weapon that was used?
Sure, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back.
Ow. That big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now.
With a heavy blade like that, almost everybody would have been able to stab the poor woman.
Including me. Oh, wait, no. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Leave me alone.
At you, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, God. you had to do a Julius Caesar reference. Oh, God. Sorry, that was great.
Damn.
Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose.
A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence.
Wonder if this happened after Jack the Ripper?
I think it's around the same time.
Oh, okay.
Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume?
From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord.
I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment toward the victim?
I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes! If theft and grievance have been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
Oh shit!
My leg! My leg! Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. But your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here.
His
What?
argument just boiled down to no you.
Ouch, Mike. Nice going, dude. You cut my arm.
Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student.
Yes, sir. Can I eat my fish and chips while I do it?
Yes.
You got
Thank
him
you.
already.
As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when that incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought, he was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him.
Oh,
Old books, you say?
Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime taken immediately after the incident.
Ah, yes, I could clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat.
racist.
Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary.
Well,
Forgive me, Lord Von Zeeks, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it.
what are you doing, Mrs. Sato?
Do go on.
Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, now that you mention it. When we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. A green overcoat. Yeah, that's exactly what the woman in that print is wearing.
Oh my, I photographed it in full colour. What will the world come up with next?
You will hear of video cameras soon enough.
The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean that he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back.
There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there is nobody else who could possibly have stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes.
Ugh.
It seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please.
Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance.
Hello again. I'd just like to comment on my fish and chips while you're trying to scroll through all this. Let me just say I get it from the finest McDonald's there is. Wait a minute. McDonald's. No, wait, no, wrong time period. I would like to say that we are Captain Long John Silver. Oh, no, wait, no, that's not a good one either. God. Jeez, I'm running out of restaurants to say that it's not time to this period. Oh, fuck. Shit.
He's from Mcgilden, you dork.
Hold it!
The defendant apparently visits a secondhand bookshop on a daily basis.
Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature.
I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention.
The bloke's room was stocked full to ceiling with those musty old books.
Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector?
Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Mearscombe Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this.
Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop.
Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance.
Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made being... Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor?
What?
Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance.
Maybe.
Oh, well, you know, I mean, yes, it could be a very important clue. Very well. Not that I could see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector.
Yes, sir, my lord. Whatever you say.
Could the man be any more sardonic?
He was on his way home from Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes.
Objection!
If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson.
What is it, sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know.
This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books.
And you found that in the accused's room, did you?
Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Yore Books. Yore Books? Y-O-R-E, I presume? Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books.
What?
Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop?
Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that... Well, it's such a small place. I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchases musty tombs, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Objection!
Tomes. Sorry, it
I like to
I
make
feel
up
you.
my own pronunciations.
I feel you, so.
I disagree. I mean, after all,
I have the street map here, if that might be of help.
oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from bourbon books, then yes, he would almost certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, Yore Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all.
Could that be true?
Ernie,
Oh yeah. Shit. My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is. But I did declare it may be a possibility.
Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely. It absolutely could be right.
Wait a minute. That guy, number 3, he was from
It
that
looks like-
video I sent you, right?
Yes. Now we can share that video afterwards.
Yay.
Inspector Gregson, where is this Yore Books establishment?
Well, obviously we looked into that. It turns out that Yore Books is just here on the next corner of Meestrom Street going east.
And there you have it. As you can clearly see now. Oh.
Wow, you stumble on your own words.
My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticisms.
Screw you.
To your future career in the circus.
Oh, that is a meme. That is
To your future career of kissing my ass. I mean, what?
I mean, actually, the Van Seeks line, that is a meme right now.
I know. An appropriate meme too.
Grr.
Oh, sorry, let me do that now.
You put that glass down now, or I'll put it down for you.
Oh, damn.
She's
I'm
a
the-
badass now.
Jeez. Not even... Jeez. My
Mr.
husband and my...
Naruhodo, hold my rings.
Okay. Have fun. I was like, damn.
Hold my flower.
Okay. Damn, not even my husband and wife are like this with me when at dinner time.
I didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Yore Books instead of bourbon books, there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed.
Yes, thank you, Inspector.
what if you went the other way?
Allow me to reiterate for my learned if somewhat slow Nipponese friend.
Ableist.
Asshole. Oh shit.
I hope
Eh.
you cut your hand on that.
I wear gloves, madam. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Ah! Ow.
Face in the desk.
As I suspected, You can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try.
Did even forget her own husband's name?
What did I say, eh? I had enough of this now. Beg your pardon? Terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that?
Mr. Naruhodo, we mustn't give up.
What? What do you mean?
If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty.
They can't do that. Ah, she's absolutely right.
We must think. We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully.
Too bad this isn't Blue's Clues, my Nipponi's friend. You can have your thinking chair if you wanted.
They claim Soseki-san must have placed the location of the incident on his way home from Yori Books, but... the assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed.
Explain yourself, counsel.
Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from Yori Books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodgings without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Objection!
Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that that route is what is commonly referred to as the long way round.
Ah,
On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home? Well,
Scenic route.
The answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime.
Objection!
But! Aha! Yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home.
I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection.
Huh?
That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home.
I don't believe this! Ow.
Wump.
I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. Pray, what say you, insightful jurors?
But even if that is the case, the defense still...
I agree with Lord Van Zeeks. Wholeheartedly and in every way.
What? I don't believe it. Does this mean...
We members of the jury are completely convinced now.
Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Well, shit.
Damn, they didn't even wait. It would appear the jury's leaning is unanimous. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hello, wine, my old friend. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You've served Queen and country admirably.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Your busy day is at an end. No, not yet. I can't sing that song yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow.
Those are the eyes of Quarry, not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial. Rights of the defense written into antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago.
Call it antiquated if you will. But it's the defense's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if it so chooses.
Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with the summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman?
Of course we're ready. I'm all too familiar with that Nipponese whippersnapper and his uncas refusal to throw in his alley.
Very well, then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty.
For pity's sake, that little Nipponese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he?
If he said that woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why can't only have been the victim?
And a man who wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the butch shop. Not in winter.
Hey, sometimes you just want to go the long way, turn your brain off, and just enjoy the scenery.
True. So that poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful.
I really don't care. Can we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be doing.
Yuri books, yes. Nice shop that, but bourbon books? No, not worth the visit. With only minor exceptions, the reasons for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, the only two people at the scene were the victim and the accused. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in her green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes. Furthermore, we have heard from the inspector that the defendant then fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample grounds to convict this man already.
Well, fuck you.
Oh dear. Even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsumi's guilt now.
Ugh, why do we have to run away like that? Why did he have to run away like that? Well, you would run too if you saw a woman just get stabbed in the back. Wouldn't you? No, I would have called 911, sir. Oh, fuck you, Ryu.
But 911 didn't exist.
Checkmate.
Wait, 911 is American.
Yeah. And, like,
Checkmate again. I must say, you're doing a terrible job, Ryu. I think it should be the other way around. I think she should be the lawyer and you should be the assistant.
Hell yeah, I'll be the lawyer.
And how are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody could see? This is impossible. How can I possibly make a case for the defense?
Mr. Naruhodo, This is no time for grumbling.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. If we want to force the trial to continue,
Yes, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least.
exactly. We have no choice but to forge forward.
You have the floor, Counsel. Begin your summation examination. Yes, my lord. Ow! I just need to keep this trial going somehow, whatever it takes. Like Iron Man and the Avengers taking on Thanos. Come on, Renosuke, you can do it. Maybe if I use my katana on them. So we're going to try a little bit something different here. If you didn't notice, we can actually press the jurors.
Oh.
Hold it!
A man's life is on the line here, sir. This will take as long as it takes.
Don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too, and so is my family's.
Ah,
The likes of you wouldn't understand, but a laborer like me can't afford to take time off.
Oh,
what?
no paid time off for jury.
If I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and kids.
oh, I see. That must be very hard.
I go to the union every morning to find out what needs doing. If you're late and the work's taken, it's tough. This time of year, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left, right, and center. They're after cheap labor to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's a hard slog from dawn till dusk it is.
So, you were out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you?
That's right. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just round the corner from where it all happened. By that old bookshop it was.
What? Another coincidence?
That's right. Mishcom Street it was.
Mearscombe Street.
On the map, Mr. Naruhodo, there are only 3 named streets. I'm sure you could find it there.
Juror number 5, I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please.
What's the point in that? Can we just get this business over with now?
Please, sir, it's important.
Fine, I'll do it then.
Objection!
These 2 statements are clearly at odds with one another. At odds, Counsel? Explain yourself.
Please, don't point. It wasn't me, I swear.
What? I just want to get this done and dusted.
Well, juror number 3?
Oh, me, sir? What do you mean?
Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's been said on our map of the local area. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of secondhand books. And on the same day, we now know that there were works being carried out on Mearscombe Street, making it impassable. Which means that the defendant's route home could not have taken him along Mearscombe Street and down Briar Road.
Oh, yes, of course. What do you think, sir?
Oh, yes, you can't argue with that, really, can you? We must have had a good 2 yards or more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way.
So, the only conclusion is this. The defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings.
Yes, I suppose he must have.
Oh, I suppose that must be right, eh?
Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, but we see now that he had no choice.
Yes! My lord, Mr. Judge, sir, if I may.
Yes?
I don't think in all good conscience that I could say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to see this trial continue so we could get to the bottom of what really happened. What about you, sir?
Who, me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in, that's what I say.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. That was wonderful.
Well, we've managed to change a couple of minds at least. It strengthened our position somewhat. Yes. Oh.
Yes, and it will prompt the other members of the jury to reconsider their stances as well. They'll be asking themselves if their current leanings are really right or not. Now, if only... If we could if we could just identify one more clue or discrepancy that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume. We might be able to tip the balance completely.
Yes, that's exactly what we gotta do. Van Zeeks is looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent, by whatever means we have at our disposal. I'm
Is this
still
where
here,
we start
you know.
kicking?
No, Sasato, that's called a chorus line. Thank you, counsel. On with the summation examination, please. Yes, my lord.
Sorry, fold it, you say? Fold what?
No. What I said was, hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit Yori Books often?
I like the old books they have in there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same day every day, including the day you're all talking about.
And at what time do you visit Yori Books on the day in question?
Well, I was picking up books in there all afternoon, and it would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about.
Just before 5, you say. Exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time?
Oh, yes. No mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry. Not after the dreadful time I had.
What do you mean?
Well, I was walking down Calabash Road when I slipped on the ice and donked my head. It's always worse after the snow stopped falling. That's when it's most slippery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. I really thought my number was up.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. This happened on Calabash Road?
That's right. I live in Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from Yori Books.
Juror number 6, I must insist.
that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant.
Sorry, extremely sick? No, I'm quite alright now.
Fuck you, old man.
Fuck you too, Sonny.
Oh, that kind of hurt me.
Don't push yourself so.
I know.
You've changed 2 of the jurors' minds, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, just 2 more to go.
Deliver the finishing blow now. It's time to turn the tables here.
Wish I knew how to do a Sasanto takedown. I suppose words will have to suffice for now.
Were you not paying attention during your lesson with Mr. Sholmes?
No, because I was being thrown around by you.
I think he broke his back.
Objection.
These 2 statements clearly show a flaw in the jurors' reasoning.
A flaw? What are you talking about, counsel?
Well, juror number 2, juror number 6.
Why, whatever do you mean, sir?
I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you.
Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. There is at least one fact of which we could be sure here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates that on the day of the attack, he had been to Yori Books and purchased a number of second-hand titles. He then returned home on foot.
But the man said he has no recollection of his return journey.
That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes.
Yes, we are well aware of this. The poor young woman was stabbed, obviously.
Objection.
Can we really be sure of that, madam?
Why? Whatever do you mean?
I'm sure you heard juror number 6's account of what happened to him that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim who was wearing a green overcoat and who fell over on the icy streets in the neighborhood.
Oh my.
My goodness, you mean... That's right. I'm referring, of course, to hard of hearing juror number 6.
Well, fuck you too, Sonny.
Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat whom the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was the jolly old gentleman on the end of the bench with me today?
That is entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man
I have a name, you know.
has a somewhat similar build to the victim.
Well, fuck you too, Sonny.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, goodness me.
Sorry, you need a pee?
And crucially, I need to go to the bathroom now. I've had to go for the past hour. We know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell.
On Calabash Road.
Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means that the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home.
Oh my!
You idiot old man! If you hadn't been so drunk as to be rolling about there, we'd have boxed this off hours ago.
Well, screw you, Sonny.
Oh, really? What were you thinking wearing such a defunct coat?
What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the streets these days? Is it a crime to slip over on the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat, is it?
My lord, I do hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but
You'd like to change your leaning, I presume?
I did declare that I would. I should like to call for a verdict of not guilty.
Thank you.
And I would too!
What?
Wow.
And is it a crime to change your mind, is it? Well?
Just be careful with your blood pressure medicine.
Did that even exist back then?
All of these
Probably in
have ceramic-
some,
Oh, go
probably
ahead.
in some crude form.
Well, that summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. The ayes 2, the noes 4, so the noes have it. Not guilty, they say. Which means we no longer have a consensus among the members of the jury. The trial will continue.
Objection!
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Could it seem curlish of me to drink from my hollow chalice moments after raising an objection? Only to crush it in disgust? Pray forgive the discourtesy.
You keep doing it and then saying sorry.
How many glasses have you broken, sir? Because those must be hella expensive.
I don't know. How many slices of bread have you eaten in your lifetime?
I feel sorry.
Touche!
God damn it,
Touche.
Dio.
You gotta feel sorry for that son of a bitch who has to clean that shit up after the
Yeah, right?
Freaking
And-
Scruffy the janitor is just cleaning it up for his ancestor.
Actually, no, it's the bailiffs that have to do that. I just let Homestar take care of it.
And then I just pour Mountain Dew all over the floor.
You know that has glass in it, Homestar.
Lord Van Zeeks?
It seems I must retract my earlier remark.
What do you mean?
I mistakenly credited these jurors with intelligence by describing them as insightful.
Oh, man.
Yet we have just witnessed them falling for a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer.
Well, screw you too, Sonny.
Huh?
What do you mean?
Objection!
I haven't tricked anyone. Everything I've said is the truth.
Indeed. Stalwart juror number 5 was undoubtedly repairing the road as he claims. I believe you said it was a good 2 yards of the pavement which you have excavated, sir.
That's right. Took me the whole day and they paid me a measly tuppence for it.
Now, my learned Nipponese friend, tell me. Do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represents?
Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, no.
2 yards is a little less than 2 meters.
And how much is that? I'm sorry, I don't know the metric system.
Yeah, they're not on the same measuring system.
Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all.
In other words, a distance relatively vaulted by anyone of moderate vigor. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend?
Me? Well, I can't say you're wrong, no.
What?
And did you perchance erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the site of your works?
I would dream of it. What a waste of time. No coaches would have had a hope of passing anyway, and we would just turn any gentlefolk back when they come. Kids just jump right over us all the time.
The accused is no gentleman as far as I can see. I have little doubt, however, that he could spring over a 2-yard trench in his meanderings around town.
Ah!
It's not true, is it?
Come on, he's scared of his own shadow. Do you think he'd go through construction?
I
Where there's danger?
I invented Groundhog Day.
The incontrovertible truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt that on his way back to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume walked down Briar Road.
Crushed in a single sentence.
And Old Man. Cold Man? You could talk! You say that at around 5 o'clock on the day in question, you slipped and fell on Calabash Road. Pray, was there a suspicious-looking Nipponese behind you at the time? Oh,
Racist.
I can't say as I remember.
You don't remember?
How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man that the accused saw. But I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it.
Ah! Ow.
Order! Order! Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. My lord. If you had such a treacherous argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not pre-offer it during the summation examination? I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. Ugh. But my hospitality has its limits, and they have been reached, I feel. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over.
What are you talking about?
My lord, the prosecution requests permission to call its next witnesses to the stand. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witnesses.
Its next witnesses?
Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that there were eyewitnesses to the incident.
Yes, I remember. One of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less.
I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness.
All right. No matter who Van Zeeks brings to the stand as his witnesses, and no matter what they say, I believe in Soseki-san. I know he's innocent. And I'll keep believing to the very end, until this battle is over.
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court.
Constable Roy Bates, sir. Not that you report on the streets, sir.
And I'm Mrs. B. Patricia's my name. I got to say that I'm this young hound hero's wife.
What's the story here?
Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, We celebrated our first anniversary on the other day.
Whoa. No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired.
Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honorable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world.
Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually.
Indeed, apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check that meters are reading true. And they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our streetlights.
There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all.
We just like to take control of them. That's really all it is.
I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet. I'd have collapsed long ago.
But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London Bobby is a man of honor, like a Klingon.
Ugh. And a man of slumber.
On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat?
That's right, sir. Isn't that right, Rolly?
Oh. Constable Rolly beat sir. Nothing to report on the streets, sir.
Ooh.
What a great witness he's going to be.
Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident.
Yes, sir.
It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog and on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor, and the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at the nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man on the dock. Rolly and I both saw him as clear as day.
Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say.
Oh, dear. This policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsumi at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternate course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed.
Fuck.
Indeed.
It's death nail, in fact. Because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate bechancing, and on your wedding anniversary, too.
Oh, I know. At least I managed to go out for the evening with my mom. I thank the Lord for that.
Oh gosh, that's the yondeer thing. The hands.
Oh god, you know Gasei?
Yes.
And I've not seen Mirai Nikki, but I love the opening.
But that's like
so
the-
epic.
I was gonna say, that's the iconic pose that she's known for.
Yeah, very memeable.
Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed.
Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may have well time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? I mean you're going to lose, you fucker. My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was without doubt the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. And one of these witnesses is a policeman, no less, so you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure. Except that the man's so tired his wife has to do all the talking. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense, commence the cross-examination, please.
Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. Beat?
No, sadly not. It's a job for instructing young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply.
Well, I think you could probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you?
I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It sits you down to the ground, doesn't it, darling?
What? I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. Was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy.
Oh no, Rolly. I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes.
Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy.
Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct?
That's right, sir, yes. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. Well, policing is my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen for our sworn duty. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the police of the common man. Sir! And for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know that the plodding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then. But sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Bate puts up with a lot being married to a Bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care.
Oh,
Oh, Pat.
Oh, Rolly. Oh.
oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold.
If a little over the top, perhaps?
Don't ruin it for me, or I will Susato take down you again.
Okay, alright, fine.
I must say, I wish that my wife and husband were like this, but no. They throw things at me at the dinner table. And then kindly describe what happened next.
Anyway, two silhouettes peered out of the fog and
Two silhouettes?
that's right. They were coming toward us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure, followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man.
That does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume.
Yes, unfortunately it does. And you're certain that at that time there was nobody else nearby?
Oh, yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are street lights on Briar Road, you see. There was no one else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling?
What? Yes, that's right. Of course, there was a light fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians.
Someone get this poor man a coffee, stat.
Godo, would you come 500 years into the past, please? Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer, please, Mr. Beat. Are you quite sure of what you just said?
Yes, sir. As a copper who spends all day, every day keeping watch on the streets, I'd swear to it, sir. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat.
Oh, really?
They're still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened.
It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run. Ow.
Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonable, clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed?
Hold it!
Scattered something. What do you mean by that?
Well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling? Oh!
What? Oh, yes, that's right. It was some old books.
I see. Old books.
Yes, sir. The culprit had dropped a number of them, all while round when the victim lay on the pavement.
Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print.
That rude Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it!
Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker.
But we saw him. It was the man in the dark, without question, sir. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taunt mouth, the snub nose, everything. Wow, you certainly know a lot about my body, sir. Is there something that you're trying to tell me? Yes, sir, I'm in love with you.
Really, in front of me. Don't make me strangle you with your scarf there, dearest. That's right. He looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifyingly intense eyes. And then suddenly, he was bumped onto the pavement and ran away.
I see. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please, continue.
Yes!
Hold it!
Was it your husband who went to fetch help?
No, police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of mine after all. Isn't that right, my darling? Yeah.
What? Oh, yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. Beat to go. I was off duty by that point. But a Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene.
Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance.
That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box?
Depends on a crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it.
Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat the incident fell under so she can go and report it.
I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There is nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know?
And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two model citizens.
Oh, please, you're making me blush. Isn't he, darling?
You better not be stealing my wife, vampire.
Well, you're trying to steal this girl.
You just steal your girl?
Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir. Go. Let's move on, shall we? I'm not finding this amusing.
Hold it!
But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you?
You absolutely could! Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, oh, have you know?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Right.
The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was the only light, didn't he?
Yes, and what of the fog?
We're famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course.
Oh, it is. But stick, you can't even see the house at the end of your own lawn.
Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about?
Because the fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling? Wakey!
What? Ah, yes, it was the accused and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Unmistakable, sir! As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. If it was Soseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony?
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they say they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Briar Road that day.
Yes, I feel the same.
So if that's true, where does it leave us?
Well,
The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony.
Oh no! Then what do we do?
If Kazuma-sama were here.
What are you trying to say?
I think you would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony.
What do you mean somewhere else?
Their statement about seeing Mr. Natsumi is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them to make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of that day is accurate.
Oh, right.
Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavorable conclusion.
Why do I always seem to be so up against it?
Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you so. It seems like you don't believe our testimony. It's not right, is it? Well, out with it.
What? No, no, no. Oh, no, it's really not that at all.
My boss is a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail, everything, like... Oh, I know. What about the books that man dropped? I could tell you the names of every single one I could. Every single one. And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is.
Oh.
That will do, Mrs. B.
No, I won't do it. It won't do it all. Activity lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of.
Oh.
I decide to forgive him for insulting us. Don't think for a minute that Wooly will.
I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please, put your husband's fists down. Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Mrs. Beat? Might that appease you?
Damn, she's got a little Karen.
Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. What's it, darling?
Oh.
I have the names of the books he dropped at the scene.
Objection!
So, you're saying that there were 4 books?
That's right. I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur Sabati was dealing a meal for someone and the thingammy something.
So she doesn't know.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours.
Oh no. What flaw?
Simply that at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4.
What?
Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see, there are only 3 books.
But no, that can't be. I saw them. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, you can't fool me.
Sorry?
It's that big old lump of a dead body. The motherfucker. Oh Lord, her corpse is blocking the view from the fourth book, that's all.
Dang, shaming the lady, and she got stabbed. Like,
Let's at least try to remember that the poor woman isn't dead, even if we're insulting her size. No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But Mr. Natsume could not possibly have dropped the 4 books you describe.
Why not?
Fascinating. And from your assured tone, something you can readily substantiate with evidence, I presume.
Ah, evidence.
Counsel, you will present evidence to substantiate your claim or withdraw it. What proof do you have that the accused did not drop 4 books?
is it the receipt?
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in the form of this bookshop receipt.
From Yori Books?
Yes, this receipt details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed. Therefore, Mr. Natsume would have only dropped 3 books at the scene of the crime. Which means that your powers of observation, madam, cannot be relied upon. So, it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken.
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
Objection!
It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend.
What?
What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving.
Ah!
So, you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair?
Ah, he sees right through me.
But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you.
What are you talking about?
It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony in every respect. You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books.
Quite right. Only 3 can be seen in that print.
That
Please
print?
tell me he updated the prints.
You mean to say...
Allow me to present another, one that shows the victim's hand.
I don't believe it. It's the 4th book.
As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso.
No. No! Ow!
But she's holding it. Where's she holding it?
Order! Order!
There, you see? You see? Look at that. Look.
Yes.
Just like I said. Isn't it, my darling?
Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir.
Let us study the receipts for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please.
Oh yes, of course. A picture of Monsieur somebody or other.
The picture of Monsieur Lecoq.
What is it, Johnny?
Canterbury Yearnings.
A meal for someone?
A meal for a Gabriaru, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. Beat's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional.
Did you hear that, Rolly? The gentleman paid me a compliment.
I will kick his ass then, because he's going to take you away from me. Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Mrs. Beat mentioned 4.
There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly, the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm sorry, Counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book?
I wonder what became of that 4th book.
Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. You will submit that... I only bring it out at the times when it's advantageous to me, my lady. You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, counsel. My pleasure, my lord. The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add.
What?
You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious longer route to the accused's lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination.
Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I?
You see, everything we've said is true. Isn't that right, my darling?
Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat.
We are already married.
Oh, sorry. Marry me again.
Time to renew those vows.
We gotta renew those vows. We gotta renew those vows every single month.
Well, why not try to do things just to make it a little bit spicy? Like switch it up every once in a while.
Okay. You're right. You're always right.
So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions? Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You have heard all of the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course.
Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position.
I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Renosuke, think. What do you do now?
Objection!
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend. It's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There is no more room for debate. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but...
Oh, you okay?
Ugh. I can't think of what to say.
It's not over. I'm fed up with this world.
That's... If I may, Lord Vanseeks. It seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point.
Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this.
I would fight you on the streets. 1v1. Oh.
I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you will have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable.
Mr. Naruhodo.
One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance, so the court will hear you, madam.
Go ahead, Mrs. Sato. Please.
Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further?
What are you doing, little guy? Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished.
I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you?
Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. And of course he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible.
Yes, I understand. And thank you, Mrs. Sato. This is it.
Thank you.
Sasato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. You're welcome. I can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord.
Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case and has heretofore been overlooked.
Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burned.
You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages.
What a terrible waste. Trees died for that. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently.
A book recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me?
Wait a minute.
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
We have already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you well know. Ah! Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear? Oh, yes, my lord. It's,
Mr. Naruhodo. I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence. Which means you may very well be on the right track.
Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case, which this fourth book conceals? Oh, we already did this. I meant to press the X button, not the A button.
Whoops.
Got it!
I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The back? What do you... Good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp! So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing.
Objection!
Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nipponese friend? Oh! Were I to concede the point, if it bears no relation to the case, there is nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day, pray, do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide? A charred book. There is just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, counsel. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you could ascertain from the fire damage the sorry Thomas suffered?
What?
My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth
Ow.
about the book's owner. I beg your pardon.
But we already knew who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell into the floor, that's all. It's obviously hers.
The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious! How could you possibly... Very well. I'll play along with this futile effort to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Awry, I meant. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book?
Take that!
The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. The landlords? And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but... of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garadeb herself.
Oh my goodness. Me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Jones' wife. I'm his maid.
Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then. How about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garadeb's house?
I would never presume to know all the books he keeps,
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused's landlady, you say? You implicate this hard-working member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Your actions are unforgivable.
Sam.
This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house. Good Lord! What sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord.
Right to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bully thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bully furniture started going up as well. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite, book called The Lion's Pride.
The Lion's Pride? By Jove! The very same title that's the subject of this debate!
Oh dear me.
Objection!
This is risible. All you've told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire. In which case, it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garadeb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garadeb even amid the flames.
Oh, how awful! I can't imagine it being so hard to the one you love. Can't you, Rolly?
Absolutely
She says as
not.
She shakes him.
Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir.
I could put your head with your scarf.
Get this guy a bed.
Had all my old favorite novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. Then the wife started hurling things at me. There was I, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen.
the man had his back up against the window and he had burning books thrown at him? Goodness gracious! Are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
I mean, stranger things have happened.
No. A thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident. And there is no report of the Gyarados' window pane being broken.
That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Gyarados household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and...
Not even remotely. Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter.
Ah!
Does the defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that the book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Gyarados' wife?
Yes.
I believe it's a possibility, my lord.
Well, I hope that everyone sees you for what you are now, little porn stuff.
Oof.
I
Damn.
was a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward.
Really?
Claiming that our little tip set the whole neighborhood alright. Like, honestly, implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for a parent's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case. Not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name.
No, I assure you, that was never my intention.
Dragging and upsetting citizens through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defense.
Oh!
I should box your ears. That's what I should do. It's utterly unforgettable.
Too right. Here we go.
How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nipponese spouting out his fancy foreign theories?
3 hours.
But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the mustache, and he ran away from the scene too.
I do declare you're right.
It's true.
Yes. What did I tell you?
Makes sense to me. Sorry, what's that?
Oh no.
Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Zeeks? Wine time. In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then, one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage.
No, wait. The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been...
You will not deny my sexiness. If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time. Let's just take in the moment.
What? No forgive the discourtesy this time?
For once, he's not sorry.
In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty.
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 No.
Guilty. Guilty.
Ah,
Thank you for that unambiguous response. That's twice now. It's over.
Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up.
Huh?
Probably wasn't supposed to. Oh.
Mrs. Sato?
Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet.
You're not suggesting...
Of course, the defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You could still convince the jurors to change their mind. You have one more chance.
My lord, the defense likes to exercise its right to a summation examination.
Aye.
You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve. I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. This is no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined.
Oh.
We're gonna leave that on a cliffhanger.
Good.
So... that means we're gonna have to find out who really did it. We still don't know who did it.
Oh.
I'm sure we're gonna have predictions.
Hi, buddy.
Character did it.
Oh, you're predicting your character did it?
Yeah. It's always the quiet ones.
The quiet one, she's the one that was spilling tea everywhere.
She was the one who was pretending to accidentally pour tea on her husband's crotch.
That's why they don't have any kids.
I can't imagine them having really bad, like, how many degree burns?
Like 6-degree burns at this point.
Those poor jewels.
You know
They're
what?
not-
They probably would have to be taken off in this day and age.
They're not jewels anymore. They're now volcanic rocks.
But still, some of them could be kind of rare, though. There could be some rare ones under the geodes. Hey, don't bite me.
And now, while that to be continued is happening, Strongbad and Homestar have now got to clean up all the wine that was put on the floor. So until next time, make sure that if you're making spaghetti and you need to add just a little bit of cooking wine, make sure you don't throw your bottles all over the kitchen floor. Don't throw it into your candles, because if you're cooking while candles are being lit, I don't know why, but just don't throw the cooking wine into it. And yeah, don't break the glass in your hands either, because that's not very smart when you're trying to cook. All right. So until next time, we will end this trial. We will end the trial by next week. And then we will have the grand finale for the first game. So it's going to be a long journey, that one. But we got to finish this trial first. So until then, we will catch you all next time. For everybody here at Chapel Service, for Pastor Deanie, Archbishop Sylph, Bishop Circus, and Pastor Mooney, we all bid you farewell and enjoy your week off. Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a fun
Bye.
and safe, happy Halloween, everybody.
Stay
That's
safe.
true.